Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Dakota. I know I haven't filmed a video in a hot second, and that's probably another video for a different day because it's gonna take way too long to explain here. Hopefully, I'm gonna try to get back on track with recording. Right now, I don't have a camera, and my laptop is from 2014, so the quality of my videos may not be the best, and I know I am a little bit awkward sitting in front of a camera after being out of the YouTube scene for so long, but I really do want to try and get back into the swing of things, so please bear with me. If you don't follow me on Instagram, then you probably don't know this, but I recently moved from Texas in the United States over to Italy for university, and I asked on my Instagram account, which I'll link in the description below, if anybody wanted to know anything about the process of me moving. I put a poll on my Instagram story, just letting people ask whatever questions they had about my move, and so now I'm gonna answer some of those in this video. All right, so the first question is, were you scared of getting corona while traveling? I was a little bit nervous, mainly about getting sick while on the planes, because I know that using private transport, like driving yourself and things like that, there's a pretty low risk of getting sick. But because planes are obviously a more popular way of transport, and there's no real guarantee of them being sanitized properly, I was a bit nervous about that. But I just made sure that I wore gloves while I was on the plane itself. I had double masks on while I was in the airport. And then I made sure that I carried like hand sanitizer, a bunch of sanitizing wipes, and I would wipe down everything. I even had like a little headrest cover that went over the back of my seat. So I was pretty cautious about everything, and I think it paid off because I wasn't sick. The next question is, will you be eligible to apply for citizenship after you graduate? So Italy's citizenship laws, I'm pretty sure it's not just 3 years. My program in school is only 3 years long. So I think I have to stay here for 7 or maybe even 10 years before I can apply for citizenship in Italy. However, I have already applied for residency, like a permit of stay, and we're waiting to get that back in the mail. But I don't think I'll be able to apply for citizenship so quickly. It's definitely gonna take a little bit longer to get that done. Do you feel safer in Italy in regards to, like, in general? Yes, I do feel safer. So I don't have to worry about anybody being armed when we go out on walks or anything, because it's illegal to own a firearm unless it's for hunting, and it's also illegal to carry knives, like on your person. So I don't really have to worry about anything like that. So I do feel safer in that sense. And then also, I just feel safer in general because I'm stealth here in Italy. Most of the time, unless somebody recognizes me from my online presence, or if someone is a friend of mine or a friend of my girlfriend's and they've disclosed that information, then I feel a lot safer in general because I don't have to worry about being outed or anything like that. What was the most stressful part of the process? I would definitely say that waiting for the visa was really fucking stressful. Actually, the whole fucking visa process was just an entire mess. It took a solid 9 months, I think, to get the visa. Actually, more like 8. I applied for the visa in, I believe it was like March or April. I applied and I didn't get it until September, like mid-September. So that was the longest and most stressful part, mainly just because there's a lot of forms to fill out, a lot of back and forth, emailing, calling, having to set appointments over the phone because I couldn't actually go in person into an office because of the pandemic. And then again, I had to pay a lot of money, all the fees, mailing everything, overnighting everything in the post office to make sure that they got it on time. There's just a lot of back and forth, and the consulate in Houston, I'm sure that they were under a lot of stress because of the pandemic and everything, but they were not the best at answering me and getting all of my stuff sorted out. So it was really frustrating. It was definitely the most stressful part of the process for me. How have you been learning Italian? Well, my girlfriend has been helping me out with that a lot. I also took 2 Italian classes when I was attending school at Texas State. So I took 2 Italian classes and I kind of got the basics down there. And then while I've been here, I've just been using Duolingo daily, trying to just learn more and then keep on top of what I already knew. How much did it all cost, and how did you budget for it? So I really didn't budget for it at all because it was a really spur of the moment decision to do it in the first place. I just kind of said, fuck it, I'm gonna apply to an Italian school and went about it that way. So there was no real budgeting or anything like that. But I think overall, The cost to apply to the university was 200 euros, and then the cost to apply for the visa, including like I said earlier, postal fees for the appointments, and just the actual application, visa application fees. I think that all totaled up to around 200 American dollars. Shit, I would say the flight over here was just a one-way flight, so I only had to pay for one ticket. I think that was about $800. So then I had to pay for the permit of stay, and that was almost $300 euros. So fuck, what is that, $2,500 total? So yeah, all in all, I think it cost me around $2,500 or more like $3,000 to apply to the school, get enrolled in classes, apply for the visa, buy my ticket, and then get everything over here, like shipping some extra items and things like that. Are you there long-term or just till school's over? I would like to be here long-term. My school's program is just a 3 years bachelor program. So I am thinking that once that program is up, I may stay for post-grad and get my master's, or I may even go for my PhD. I'm not entirely sure yet. I still haven't quite figured out what I want to do with my degree, which is totally not nerve-wracking at all. But yeah, I would like to stay long-term. What kind of things could you bring, and what did you have to leave behind? So basically the only stuff that I brought, I was living in San Marcos before I moved. And so in San Marcos, I had an apartment. I sold all of my furniture. Then I sold a lot of my clothes online through Poshmark and things like that. And then I moved back to Keller to live with my family. And while I was there, I just kept getting rid of my stuff. I literally only brought 2 big suitcases, and it just had my clothes and my shoes. And that was it. I brought 2 suitcases, 1 little duffel bag, and my backpack, and that was literally it. I left so much shit behind. I got rid of so much shit. I pretty much just packed up my entire life at that point and brought it with me. The only thing, unfortunately, was I was not able to bring my cat with me. She's registered as an emotional support animal, and most airlines are fine with cats, and they recognize cats as service animals. And, I have the proper paperwork and everything like that. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, I chose to fly with American Airlines, and American Airlines accepts cats as emotional support animals. But since my flight connected from Chicago to London, and then I flew from London to Venice, the flight from London to Venice was not operated by American Airlines. It was actually operated by British Airways. And unfortunately, British Airways does not recognize cats as emotional support animals or emotional service animals. So unfortunately, it was either leave her behind or put her into cargo and have to pay an extra fee to get her put into cargo. And I didn't feel like that amount of stress was worth it for her, because she's never flown in a plane before. And unfortunately, we didn't have the option to sedate her via medication or anything like that because of British Airways restrictions for how pets travel in cargo. And so I just thought overall that the stress of that trip would just be too much for her, and I wanted to give it some time. And I think now we're planning on shipping her over here once we can afford it, because it's not cheap. I think we got a quote from like a specific company that does that, and I think they said it was like $2,500, so $2,500 to get her shipped from America here. So yeah, the only thing that I really left behind was my cat, but everything else I either sold or I just brought with me. What's the cost of living like in Italy versus in the US? In the United States, I was paying about $700 a month for my 1-bedroom apartment, and that includes rent and all of my utilities. So that's pretty steep. Now I live with my girlfriend and her family while I look for my own apartment. They've been really gracious in letting me stay with them and taking care of me. And so far what I've seen is the cost for a 1-bedroom apartment is about the same, especially closer to my university. It's more along the lines of like, we're looking at 600 euros a month. And most of the time that does not include bills. And also in Italy, there's this thing called the condominium expense, which I had not heard of before I moved here. And that's typically an extra 50 to 150 euros, depending on the location and if the building is new or old. And so I would definitely say that the cost of living is pretty close to the same, but I don't have a lot of experience in that area yet. How long did it take you to actually get to Italy once you got the idea in your head to move? I think I applied to the university in March, and it was, again, just a spur of the moment decision. I just decided, I just wanted to see if I could even do it. I just wanted to see if I could even get in. And then around early April, late March is when I found out that I got into the university. And so at that point, that was when I was like, okay, now I actually have to start working on getting my study visa and going over to Italy. So the original plan was I was going to go in July, maybe early June if I could swing it. But then coronavirus hit and Italy went into lockdown. And so nobody was allowed in or out. I ended up having to wait until August to hear back from the consulate, the Italian consulate in Houston, about my visa, and they said that I was not able to go because of the restrictions. So I waited from April, like late March, early April, till August to hear back. So that time frame, I was flying in the dark, basically. And then finally in August, they emailed me and they said that the restrictions were being lifted and they would keep me posted. And I actually was not allowed to travel to Italy until it was 14 days until classes started. So I had to wait until 14 days out from the start of classes to actually be in Italy for that 2-week time period of my self-quarantine. And so I was not able to fly out of Texas until September 15th. So I think overall it took a solid 8 months for me to start the process and then actually end up in Italy. What was it like applying to an Italian university? I applied through their website. The University of Padua just has a pretty simple online link that you can go to and you can apply through there. It's all done virtually, so you can upload all of the required documents and you can fill out, which course that you'd like to take and things like that. So it's actually pretty simple to apply. The only difference that I really noticed when applying was that some of the things that they require in the US, they do not require in Italy. So that was pretty interesting, but yeah, the process was almost exactly the same besides that. What's the queer or LGBT scene like in Italy compared to in the US? I would definitely say that the United States is a little bit more liberal with the LGBT scene there. Of course, it depends on where you are in Italy, but in this small town that we live in now, no one is really very vocal about being queer. Whether that's just because they don't feel like they have to, or if it's more of just like a privacy thing, I'm not sure. But I would definitely say that in America, I felt a little bit more comfortable with being out and being verbal about my trans experiences. But now that I'm in Italy and I am stealth here, I would kind of like to keep it that way, unless I choose to disclose that information to somebody for whatever reason. Not because I don't feel safe, but just because of personal preference. I know that in larger cities like Milan, Venice, Rome, there are some good queer spaces there. I do know of a few people who have reached out to me actually living in those cities and who have said, that I can go there and it wouldn't be an issue, but I'm still just for personal reasons kind of keeping it on the down low for now. Kind of piggybacking off of that question is this one. Someone asked, what's the process like for getting testosterone in Italy? And I'm actually still going through that process myself. I wasn't quite sure about how to start the process. So before I left America, I contacted my doctor and I told her that I was moving internationally and I was going to be gone for a while. And so we kind of worked out a plan where she would send me refills. And this month was my last set of refills. And so she sent me that and my parents shipped it overseas to me. And now that I have my last little bit of testosterone from her, I actually do have an appointment set up with the trans clinic in Padova, which is where my university is located. So thank God that that was available and it's close and I don't have to travel all over Italy just to find a doctor. But yeah, I do have an appointment. It is going to be online, but hopefully starting from that appointment, it will help me find a doctor here who can help me either continue doing shots, although I do know that here in Italy, they don't do weekly shots. It's either monthly or every 3 months. So I may switch to one of those methods, or I may switch to pellets, patches, gel, whatever I can get. I'm really not sure. But if you guys would like updates on that, I'd be more than happy to post updates about it as I kind of navigate that scene here. The final question, how was the travel during a pandemic stress-wise? It actually wasn't that stressful. Once I was done with the visa process and I was just in the airport, that was probably the least stressful part of the entire trip. The only thing that I was really worried about while I was traveling was my bags. I was worried that they wouldn't meet weight requirements, but thankfully I was able to fit literally everything that I own into basically 3 bags, and I didn't have to pay any weight fees or anything like that. So that was really nice. Again, it was a little bit stressful just because of COVID and I was worried about getting sick. But other than that, there wasn't really any major stressors while I was traveling. That's all the questions that I think I'm gonna answer in this video. If you guys have any more, you are more than welcome to comment them down below and I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I can. Anyways, yeah, I think I'm gonna end this video here. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a thumbs up and a comment down below and make sure that you're subscribed. I don't know what the fuck else to say.